Hello and welcome back, everyone. This is episode 7 of our Mercian short series presented by the Middle Earth in Mercia podcast. This is our web-based, video-based series where we're able to sort of react to the news of the day surrounding the Middle Earth strategy battle game, everything that's going on with it. And if you've been following along, you'll be aware that there has been quite a few developments. So without any further ado, I'm your host, Sonny, as usual, and your co-host, Ash, is here as well.
Hi guys, I'm here to console Sonny on the news.
Well, let's tell everybody what it's about first, and then we'll get into it. So, as those of you who watched episode 6 will be aware, last time out we had pretty, like, I think it was probably our most positive episode ever, wasn't it, Ash? Across like all 20 episodes of the main podcast and this video series that we do. Brand new edition, brand new models, really, really exciting. And unless you've been living under a rock, you will be aware that on the Warhammer community page, and go over to the article, we'll put a link down below. We're not going to be reading through the article. That's not what we do here. We're here to be the home of the conversation, and that's what we're going to have with you guys today over this topic. So, yeah, check out the link down below. But in that article, unfortunately, was listed, I think it was something in the region of 80 different profiles from the game. Some of them that have been in the game for over 20 years. Some of them have been in for as little as sort of less than 36 months. And yeah, they are being legacied. The vast majority of them. I think there's only 4 profiles that are outright being deleted. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the term legacy, it is a term that Games Workshop have used for a while in a number of their games, and it essentially means this model will no longer be available for sale. And for the new launch of this edition, we will be providing a one-off installment of rules for it. But in any balance updates, in any FAQs, these will not be addressed. They will not be progressed further than that point. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about what this means for these models, hasn't there, Ash?
Yeah, I think obviously the forums on Facebook have gone absolutely wild.
That they have.
Everyone's getting upset, and I think I guess we play 40k as well, and like a general side, so we're used to like these sort of things happening. But I think it hasn't happened in a long time in Middle Earth.
I don't know. This is why it's so significant. This has never happened. Profiles have never been removed for the game, and they have never overtly said we will not be selling these models moving forward. There's been rotations, but nothing like this.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's big impact to the community and people who've been collecting for a long time, or maybe have just recently joined and they've picked an army because they think it looks cool, and now they've lost that army.
It's a very significant moment, and just to sort of define it, I know there are people out there saying that it means this and it means this and it means this. Look, I'm gonna lay out the facts for you. In some niche games, this has not meant a lot. The most notable game where this hasn't meant anything has been Warhammer Fantasy Battle, which I do think needs to be taken with a pinch of salt. That's a very unique scenario. That was a game that was cancelled for over 10 years. The community carried on playing it. The community created their own rules, which had thousands of followers. Tournaments were still being organised when that was a dead game. Now, when that was brought back, Games Workshop said we're going to legacy half the armies, fully half of the system. And the community understandably said, nah, up yours, we ain't doing that. We're going to community support these. That was a big thing that they did, and it was a big decision. And I can totally understand how that came about in that game system. But I do think it is unique. The usual situation that happens in this is things are legacied, People play them in sort of games against their friends. But generally, if you go to a games club, people will say, I would like to play the latest version, and you won't be allowed to play those games. If you go to a tournament, generally, legacy armies are not supported. Now, that's the information. You can go on Facebook. You can see what my opinion of it is. I think you need
There's
to
a lot of memes on there from Sunny.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
I think it's best on this topic to leave it up to you, because the thing that annoys me is, I'm 33 years old. I've been buying Games Workshop products since I was about 10, maybe even 9. I've seen this 1,000 times. I know what my thoughts are on this, and like, you make up your own decision. If you want to believe you're going to be able to play these models forever, then have at it.
I think it's very personal to you as well. Like, it's not to you personally, but like, it's a personal choice of how this affects you. Like, for me, it's not really got a big impact because I think I only lost one model out of my army, so my 2 armies. Whereas, obviously, we'll get into it, but you've lost a lot more from that. So
yeah.
This is, I guess, personally on you. If we were used to a release cycle like on 40k, where every 4 years we were getting a new edition, it might not have hit home as much and as hard. But I guess because it's been however long we've had the game and they haven't ever done it, it's going to be raw.
I mean, part of why this is so significant, like me and Ash both play 40k. We've mentioned it before. I've had models that I was literally like getting out of the box while I was being told that they had been legacied. And it didn't affect me at all because I only play that game with my friends. And I know my friends aren't going to be like, have an issue and be like, no, you can't play that. It's not an issue. But the reason why I only play that game with friends is because they do this cancellation cycle, because they do this constant cycle of cancel and release. I'm not interested. I don't have the budget, the time to paint and get these 40k armies ready. I need to be able to say, Ash, can we just use these as this? And, it's not an issue. Because, when you're talking 200 models sometimes for those armies, I don't have the time to just keep painting them up every 6 months.
You say that, but obviously, recently I've been watching a lot of stuff on 40k, and it has become the norm where people do allow proxy models, and it's not so much what you see is what you've got sort of thing at the tournaments, as long as the base size is correct. I was watching, I think it was the LGT, the big London one, and someone had made Chaos Knights, but they were basically looked like orcs had built them, and they were fine at LGT, which is one of the biggest tournaments in the UK. So 40k is becoming more understanding, I think, of those changes, and you basically play the profile you want to take to the army. Obviously, you can't take a Leviathan Dreadnought and use it as a Leviathan, but you can use it as another Dreadnought. As long as the base size match. So that could be maybe something that could be considered, maybe that, okay, you've got these models, you can play them as this instead.
They do seem to have had a bit of a drawback from being quite as toxic as it used to be. But yeah, before we move on to what we are going to do with this, which I'll reveal in a minute, one thing I would say is, like, if you're going to, I've been expressing my opinion on the internet, feel free to express your frustrations, your anger, or your okayness with this. That's entirely up to you. But what I would appeal is stop telling other people how they should feel. Honestly, the people that are suddenly IP lawyers and telling everybody that this Games Workshop had no choice, they're blameless. They did this and they're heartbroken. They're in the offices in Nottingham crying their eyes out because they just couldn't do the deal. Get stuffed, honestly. I don't think I've ever been that aggressive.
They're just greasing their wallets with more money because they don't want to make all these legacy Forge World models anymore.
I don't think I've ever been that aggressive to anybody in the community on this podcast. But honestly, if you're going to tell people that have spent their hard-earned money that they shouldn't be upset in favour of defending a limited company, like, I'm not saying the staff members don't, but the company does not care about you at all. You lot can get stuffed. Cut it out and just go sit in the corner for a while and think about what you've done. Like, it's nonsense. I don't want to hear it. We need to move on from this weird white knighting for a company that's making millions of pounds. They don't care about you. Stop caring about them. It's perfectly all right to be like, okay, maybe we shouldn't direct this at the Middle Earth team. They're people. That's different. Stop defending a company. We can disagree about why this has happened. But the fact is, stop saying it's definitely this, it's definitely this. Like, Ash, you've probably signed an IP agreement at some point as well. You know as well as I do, the standard part of those agreements is you're not allowed to talk about what you've actually signed up for. You're not allowed to say, oh yeah, we gave permission for this, we didn't give permission for this. We are never going to know what happened in those discussions. So stop using it as a blanket excuse to protect what is highly likely just a business decision. And on the one end, we can say, I'm not going to condemn them forever because a company does need to make money. Perfectly reasonable. But that doesn't change the fact that they have done some people over and they're entitled to be annoyed about it. All right, I'm putting my soapbox away. I've said my moment. Ash, do you have anything to say on that?
No, I agree with you that it's the company decision at the end of the day. The company's there to make money. If the company doesn't make money, we lose the game altogether. So
yep.
It's business, isn't it? It's not personal. It's just business.
Perfectly
they
reasonable.
Haven't done it to you as a personal choice. They've done it as a business decision so that they can keep making the games we like to play.
However,
if they go bust, then we lose the game altogether. So what would people rather happen?
However, what we are going to do next is assess the level of that egregiousness, the level of that greed. Which ones were understandable and which ones should we do a protest march against? And that's what we're going to do. We said we weren't going to merely just go through the list. So what we are going to do is the first ever Middle-earth in Mercian tier list. That's right. We've joined the hordes of scum YouTubers that relentlessly peddle these things. So yeah, here we are. We've reached rock bottom. Come along for the ride. What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, I think we've sold out. We've sold out as a podcast.
Yeah,
we're on YouTube. That was the first sellout, and now we're doing tier list.
I mean, the next stage is we start selling Raid Shadow Legends, isn't it?
Yeah, and next we'll be doing 40k podcasting and old world, and we'll just be amongst the masses.
But yeah, we're having a bit of a laugh about it. But I did think this would be a good way that we can talk about each of these as a topic of discussion. If you're not interested in that, then go on Facebook and on our advertising links, tell us how we're the scum of the earth. This is your opportunity to get out now. But for those of you who are interested in the conversation, we thought this would be a good way that we can go through. We can have a little bit of a chat about them beyond just reading the article. If you just want that information, as I've said, the link is down below. You can go and read it in like less than 5 minutes. We're going to be talking about this for a good 30 at least, I think. So, Ash, I know you can't see this, so I'm going to have to just select ones. I might have to get you to get some of the names. So,
okay, I've got the article open.
Yeah, good. So I've bundled some together, some aren't. So in no particular order. Oh, I should establish how we're doing this. Yes. So S tier, we're going to call that scum tier. Those are the ones where we can't think of any possible justification for removing these models from the game in the manner that they've been done. D tier, I don't know. What's a D word for like? Yeah, I
don't care.
Yeah, no, don't care is a bit harsh.
No,
I don't know. Let's think. We should have come up with this before we started recording, shouldn't we?
Dead. Let's start our own phrase.
Don't mind. It's don't mind.
Don't mind. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Not don't care. Don't mind.
No, because before we go, we're having a bit of a laugh with this. I am really, really hacked off about this entire thing, and you'll see as we go through, as I detail, just how much of my collection has been thrown in the bin.
If we were better at video editing, I'd get a little tiny piano playing there like this.
I'd be having a montage of my models to Aerosmith's "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing." If I was better at video
I did
editing.
like your comment on the post how you've been looking out the window at the rain with James Blunt playing.
That's what I've been doing for the past day, mate. Just like Becky, my partner, has been coming in going, "What's going on?" And I've just been screaming, "You wouldn't understand," and crying.
I can imagine there's people listening to Puddle and Mud, She Hates Me. I'm thinking of Games Workshop of hating them.
All right. Okay, let's start going through them. So yeah, I've bundled some together that make sense together. When entire factions have been affected, I've got them there. So let's start with one that I know hurt a lot of people, and that is Balin, King of Moria, and Flowy Stonehand. Now, I think some of the arguments against these is they're very old models. Flowy is it Flowy? He has some difficult rules that are quite hard to balance. My counters to them would be that, the Expedition to Moria was one of the earliest expansions that Games Workshop did on this product. Although it doesn't feature in the films and the books, it is heavily referenced. And it is a great sort of environment to sort of do what ifs and try and figure out that campaign. So I think rules can be changed. I do understand these are old models, but I think the answer for old models is not to chuck them out. I think it is to replace them with more contemporary ones. So my initial pitch for this one, Ash, is that I would say A tier. I think it's pretty bad that this has been removed and affects the dwarf armies quite significantly. It takes out an entire way to play that army. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Balin I've come across quite a few times.
Yeah, he's well liked.
So he's well liked and well played. So yeah, I can agree there. I don't think I've come across Blowy.
Yeah, he's like the wizard guy with the book. I think he tends to be in higher points lists.
So there are old models. So yeah, I think, but then they do change the dynamic of how you play those armies. So I think A tier is reasonable for them.
Okay, our first ever selection, A tier. All right, where should we go next? Let's go the other end. Feral Urukai. They've not been available for a very long time. They haven't done a made to order on these. They don't really add anything into the list. You don't see these proxied. You're better off taking Berserkers or just taking some normal ones. And if you do own the models, I think it's quite easy to just say, oh yeah, I'm just using these as a few more Urukai. For me, this is a perfect example of D. I can understand removing this. I'm sorry if you've got these models, and that goes for all of them. But, ranges do need to move forward to an extent. I don't think anybody out there is going to be like, oh my God, I can no longer play Isengard the way I played them because of their removal. And that's sort of the criteria I'm using to judge these. What about you, Ash? Any different views on Feral Urukai?
No, I think if we had a category below D, then I'd put it there. Because I don't think I've ever seen a list with them. I know, obviously, Ugluk Scouts and Lurtz's Scouts are quite popular at the minute to be played, and you can't take them, I don't believe.
No.
So, yeah, I don't think I'll miss them.
Okay, so he is going in at D tier. Next up, because I'm just picking from random, we're going to another faction entirely. So if you want to see all the factions, you're going to have to stay with us. And it is the Golden King of... is it Abrakan? Yeah, I think it must be Abrakan. Now, Ash, you said you're unfamiliar with this. This is a model where it's got two Abrakan guard and they're holding a guy on a palanquin over the top of him. And basically, he's a fight 4 model. I think he does get like 4 strength 4 attacks, but he doesn't have any strike. And his big thing is that he can use will. He's got like 6 will, which is meant to be him using some purchasing power to try and affect people's courage tests. Rarely seen model in competition. Very characterful model, certainly from a different age of the game. I like the model, don't own the model. I do think it's a bit different, but I can also understand its removal from the game. It's not terribly used. I'm suggesting C tier for this, Ash. What do you think?
Yeah, obviously you know a bit more about it because you're a Harridan player, but I've never come across. I had to Google it when we spoke just before this to find out what the model was. And yeah, people tend to take Sullivan, don't they, and a Harridan King. So I would argue it's probably a D, but you're probably a bit more precious, so we'll put it in as a C.
I just think it's a characterful model that people will
I think
genuinely
it'd be a nice display piece.
I mean, on the downsides of it, like other reasons why I can see getting rid of it, the way its base works is absolutely horrendous, and it doesn't work at all.
Yeah, it needs the base a bit like the Dragon King, doesn't it? Not the Dragon Emperor, where it's all one base.
So I'm putting,
because at the minute it's like 2 bases.
Yeah, it's horrible. So I'm putting that in at C. I think basically, like, if you're at B, it's either way. If it's C and D, we're sort of edging towards. I can understand why these ones have been shaved from existence. So let's try and let's get a full sweep. So I'm going to try and choose one that I think is a good nomination for B tier. Where are we gonna go? Or have you got any ideas what to do next, Ash?
I can think of one.
What's that?
What's his name? Razgush.
That's not a B tier, mate. That's not a B tier. No way.
I know. Am I thinking a different model?
Okay,
Are you thinking that's S tier?
Let's do what I think is an S tier one, though. So next up, I have in the picture I've got all 3 of the Dunland heroes, but in S tier I have Razgush, and is it Azrak? Can you check for me? It's the it's the one that is used in Assault on Lothlorien. So it's a shaman.
Is it Kardush?
No, not Kardush.
No. Oh, Musga.
Yeah, Musga. Yeah, Musga and Razgush. I think this is the worst example of S tier in this entire thing. So, let me give you my pitch why it is. Forge World models. I bought these models. At the time of buying them, they were 24 quid for 2 models. They are nice models. These are used in 2 separate legendary legions, Fell Beings of Mirkwood and Assault on Lothlorien. You buy these models because you want to run those legions. The removal of these models mean both of those legendary legions are going in the bin. These models are, if you exclude the recent release of Rise of Angmar, these are the most recent models added to the range. They are about 2.5 years old, and they are going to Legacy. I can't think of a more egregious example. These are models that if you've been to tournaments, you will have played against both of these. They are very commonly used, popular. I can't see any reason to be removing these. And that's going to be my standard for S tier. What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It takes away that whole beam of that list, I think.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a lot of top tier players very unhappy about this because it was the meta for quite a while. So yeah, I agree with you there, especially because they're so new and Assault on Lothlorien isn't an old legendary legion. And I'm pretty sure that it does feature in the books as a thing.
It's mentioned.
I guess they're not named, are they? The people involved.
Both, it's like book adjacent. Both are mentioned that battles happen in those places, but we're not giving an illustration of who does that. Right. I think we should just crack through. I think the obvious contenders for S tier. So next up, I have is it Gorolf and Zagdush from the Mordor list? Can you check that for me?
Yeah, Gorolf and Zagdush.
Another 2 models that I own. Okay.
Is it just going to be everything that you own?
No, no. So both of these are used in the Mordor list. I think only Gorolf is mentioned in a Legendary Legion. But yeah, both are just sort of character variety for Mordor orc captains, basically. They both have some rules. I don't think these were excessively overpowered. I don't think they excessively change the way the lists work. Actually, I'm open to these being in A tier. You can decide, Ash. I think these are, like, they're not fundamentally going to change how you play these armies. They're about 3.5 years old. I do think that is too young to be retiring them when the models cost £12 each. Like, I'm not going to stop going on about that. I do honestly think that Games Workshop needs to consider, when they're releasing these Forge World models, that they have now undermined confidence in them. Because I think the justification a lot of people had behind these were, they're new, I'm going to get a lot of use out of them. Here's another example of two models that have not seen their way through a full edition. But I do admit that they don't fundamentally change how an army plays. It's just removal of two profiles. What do you think, Ash? Does this meet the standard for an S, or is it just an A?
I think it's personally an A because Mordor have a lot of characters.
Okay.
So I don't think you're going to really miss them that much. Again, from what I'm judging by this, that obviously they're trying to get rid of a lot of the Forge World stuff, which we know they're trying to start moving away from anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting your point that they haven't made it through a full edition, but the full edition of Middle-earth has been around a long time. So,
well, we're counting it since the Osgiliath. Well, not the Osgiliath.
Okay.
No, sorry, since the relaunch in 2019, 2020, 2019. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, people are going to accuse me of just having you here as a window dressing, so we will have to move them to A.
And
unfortunately,
just putting your models in S tier because you saw about it.
Okay, let's keep going with the egregious ones. So then we have Gorolf and Frida Toolspear. So also in there is the Oathmaker, but it's been established that he is being kept. Now, the fact that the Oathmaker is being kept, that says to me there is going to be a War of the Ring era Dunland force. They just are not including Gorolf and Frida. I think Frida has cool rules. I think Gorolf it adds something to the Isengard list that it doesn't presently have, like a hard-hitting 3-attack hero that's relatively cheap and has strike. I thought his defense rule was pretty nice as well. We are going to move on to Dunland as well. I think that, for me, I think this is slightly edging towards S tier. But it could be A tier.
Like you say, it sort of gets rid of, I guess, like, I'm not too sure if the new films is based in the Third Age or not, but
I think it's
sort of,
I think it might be Second Age.
It's sort of getting rid of that Dunlin presence within the Third Age, and so I was surprised that they got rid of these 3 characters because they might become. I guess they're probably thinking that they might become redundant with the release of, like, Wolf and the 2 other sort of Dunland heroes that they've brought out to go with the new film. So
I think we will see new War of the Ring era Dunland models. I think it will be the troops you can use for both eras, and then I think they will bring out a new 3-pack that includes the Oathmaker, and it'll be like buy new models. Is my theory.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think? S or A tier?
I think S.
Okay, you're going S. I do think
it's a big change to the Dunland list because you're sort of getting rid of everybody but bar one.
Mm-hmm.
Oathmaker is Theoden Wolfsbane, yeah?
No, Theoden we haven't done. He's separate. Okay, so let's move on. We are going to have to start cracking through these, else it's going to be the longest video ever. Dweller in the Dark. I know it has its fans. Are you aware of this model, Ash, before I carry on?
Yeah, that's the thing that sits. Oh no,
It looks like a anorexic Balrog.
Oh, okay. No, I wasn't aware of that.
For me, I think that
That's a D.
I think this one is too far outside of like the Tolkien verse. I don't think it looks like a Tolkien model. I don't think it fits the range. It's old. It's expensive. It's metal. Moria has a ton of monsters. I think looking at this in isolation, for me, this is a straight D tier. I'm totally in favour of it leaving the range. I've never seen it at tournaments in 2.5 years. I'm sorry if you own the model. I'm not I'm not discounting your pain. If it was up to me, all these models would retain. But I think in terms of ranking, it's a D.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's
I've
go.
never even seen it before, so anything like that is a D.
Let's stick with Moria. Warg Marauders. Recently brought back, which I think is pretty bad that it was brought back. I do think it's really bad that they've been selling these models, returning to the range, aware that they're probably going to take them out. I personally love the model. I think it's beautiful. It's a shame there's only one posing of it. I would like to see them add Goblin Warg Riders. I think that would be chef's kiss. That would be awesome. I'd love to see that. But I do understand retiring this model. Its rules interactions are a nightmare, and I could see how it'd be difficult to fix that. I would ordinarily put it in D tier, even though I love it. But I'm going to suggest C tier just because of the fact they have just bought it back and a lot of people have bought this.
Yeah, I think I agree there.
Cool.
I think a couple of people use it quite a lot as well. So
yeah, people use it for the love of the game, I think, quite a lot. Okay, let's do another easy one. Orc Trackers. Not been available for a long time. If you've played against Orc Trackers, you have probably played against Orc Bowmen that are being used as Orc Trackers. That's what I did with them. They've not been available for a really long time. It doesn't really make sense for Orcs to have these Orc Trackers that shoot really well. I think it undermines the idea of allying Mordor with other factions to improve your shoot skill. If you have these models, I think it's going to be very, very easy for you to just say these are my Orc Bowmen, and nobody's going to have an issue with that. D tier for me. I think it's totally understandable.
Yeah, D tier. Don't be greedy.
Okay. Here, let's just keep on riding with the easy ones. Corsair Reavers never had a model. The picture I've got from them is actually a proxy. They've never had a model. Makes sense to me to remove them from the range. Doesn't hurt anyone.
Yeah, I think so.
I think,
like you say, we've never had a. When I put in Corsair Reavers, all I get is Eldar. So
yeah, they don't exist.
D tier.
Yeah, it's indeed D tier. Okay, let's skip to some Rohan where maybe you can have a bit more input, Ash. Erkenbrand. So I'll pitch it up to you, and you can give us a pitch for what's here. Erkenbrand. Old model is a bit ugly. It very clearly is just an amalgamation of the old Airmen model. With the big shield, it's got a big embossing on it. However, mentioned in the books and features in the films, this is definitely a direct choice to remove him. How do you feel on this, Ash? Erkenbrand?
I think he's probably around the mid-level. Because personally, I'd take Dalewyne over Erkenbrand in my army. A lot of people I see use him as like a royal guard, so yeah, I think he's probably a B.
Okay, B. Yeah, that sounds fair to me.
Because hero heavy Rohan lists might take him, but they might get upset. But I don't think he's a C.
I think my dislike
I can understand why they're getting rid of redundant Rohan characters when they're going to be bringing out so many more, and people might not play those models as much once there's new era Rohan stuff to play.
For me, I think this is like a model that is really a victim of Games Workshop policy. So this is not me saying this. They have said this in various sources. That is their policy not to continue to support models that they are not actively selling the models for. And I think Erkenbrand, I can understand, like, this isn't the greatest model. I'm sorry if you like it, but it really isn't. It's from that era where they just weren't doing the hero models a lot of justice. But he is a named booked character. He is in the films. I think the right thing to do with this model would have been, this is going to range rotation. We will occasionally do a made to order on it, but you can still use the rules because he's a named model. They're getting rid of him in full capacity because they're not intending to sell the model, and then they can't stop people making third-party ones. This is one that just hurts us fans of the game, and I don't like that. Okay, moving on. Let's do another one that's like this. Eristor, two-knifed elf hero for Rivendell Ash. Familiar with him?
I think so.
Yeah. So
I've not come across him in a game, I don't think.
You definitely have a long time ago against somebody that we used to play games against, and now we don't.
He should not be named on this podcast.
Yeah, so Eristor, book character. He is an established thing. Old model, but a model that has aged really well. For me, this is another B tier. I think, I don't think it fundamentally changes how that army operates. I don't think...
No, they've got a lot of heroes already, haven't they, that you can use.
He's a good utility character, but I don't think people are saying, I'm playing Rivendell so I can use Eristor. But also a book character. I would say B. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because some people might miss him, but personally, you've got Elrond, you've got Glorfindel, you've got all the other people that you can use within Rivendell. Do you need him?
So, next one up, let's do a different race. Murin and Dra. Are you familiar with these, Ash?
What race are they?
They're dwarves.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so Murin and Dra were a Games Workshop creation, which were basically in the I call it the golden era, but it's my golden era when I was a teenager. And these were coveted. Like, for some reason, they were a bit difficult to get hold of for a while. And basically, they were dwarf adventurers, and they were the only example of Iron Hills dwarves you could get for a long time. And I really wanted these models, and I was lucky enough to get them in a made to order. However, in the modern era, they have essentially been completely irrelevant because their rules don't allow them to slot into any force nicely. With being a double hero matchup, they've been irrelevant for quite a long time. I own these models. I love these models. I think they're beautiful. I'd like to see these available and made to orders in the future, but I think that, they're not a mainstay of people's tournament lists. I think it's quite easy to use these for battle companies or just generic dwarf captains. I don't have any qualms about these coming out at all. I think it's probably a D tier.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, straight into D tier. All right. What else have we got? Haradim King. Why? I can't make an argument.
I've got some theories behind this.
All right, all I will say is I can't make an argument for S tier because of the age of the model. But why on earth is this being removed and not just getting a new model or something like that?
So my theories are we're going to see some more Haradim heroes from the new film. You've seen not fan art, but some art from the film, and they've got things like mummics and things like that. So, from reading into the background behind the story, Haradim play quite a key feature in allying with Dunland. So, my assumption is you're probably going to get some Harad heroes, and the king will become.
It's not
redundant.
a bad idea. Okay then. At this time, though, we need to work with the information we have.
Yeah.
I think at minimum he's a B tier, because this is not an irrelevant model.
Yeah, because I guess as well, a counteract to my theory is you can't use. You probably won't be able to use new heroes with Suladin.
Yeah.
If you don't have the Harad King, how do you build a force?
At the moment, like, obviously we haven't been through them, but at the moment, Harad can only use Suladin, Raza, and Harad chieftains. Those are the and obviously you've got the
Okay, you've still got the chieftains and things.
You've got the options like on the Mumuk and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay.
guess like you could make the argument I can still use this model as a chieftain. But however, I have modded him to use a lance, and they've said that we can't do our own modifications anymore. We can only use them as they sell them, so maybe I can't. All right, B tier
Can you
then.
not get a launch on a chieftain?
Well, if they don't make the model, they won't sell it. They won't let you play those rules no more. That's what they said. If they sell the model and it doesn't come with a shield, you can't have a shield. If they sell the model and it doesn't come with a horse, can't have a horse. I would assume that applies to lances as well. And unless they don't make a chieftain horse model. So does that mean you can't have a chieftain on a horse anymore? It's a nightmare. All right. Okay. King. He's going in at B. Uncertain future, could possibly be an A, could possibly a B. I'd like to put him at the top of B tier though, because you have sub rankings. Ash, what do you feel about that?
Okay.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think he's a top B.
Top of B. All right then. Another Rohan one, so we'll leave it up to you. King's Huntsman. For me personally, I don't know why this was ever added to the game.
Yeah, I've personally never chose it. I think it was just something to add into the hammer hand list because you can only use helm, so they sort of maybe added new things. So I can understand why that some of the Rohan stuff is going, because we're going to get new Rohan things that might make a King's Huntsman redundant. So yeah, I think D tier.
Yeah, I just don't know why it's in the game. I don't know why they ever thought that was a good idea, if I'm honest. Okay, Elf Stormcaller.
What?
Yeah, another model that for me, I don't know why it was ever added to the game.
What's a Stormcaller?
It's just like they do a few spells for the elves. Nobody ever uses them.
Do you need that if you've got like Kiradan and things like that?
I've never seen it. I've never seen it used. I don't think this is very fitting with the lore. Most of the elf, to my knowledge, correct me down in the comments below if I'm incorrect. But to my knowledge, any of the elves that can overtly do magic, they tend to be like Eldar, like I can't remember the different races of elves, but basically your average elf is not doing it, and they would be a named character if they had magic. So I don't think it particularly fits. It's not a model that's used. I think another D tier. Ash, any objections?
Yeah, it's taken me a long time to even find an image of it.
Okay.
And that's a badly painted one at that, and it's got Gandalf's staff. So
I'm gonna have to add.
Yeah, I think a D tier.
I'm just expanding D tier because we're running out of space. So this new down below, it's D part 2.
Okay, I found the official model for it.
Okay,
I was in a packet for it.
Let's go on. Great Beast of Gorgoroth. I think it is a massive shame this is leaving the range. I've got one of these. I love it. Looks really cool. It's almost like a display piece, like the individual crafting on each of those orcs and their individual poses. I love it. Absolutely love it. I do think it's something that Mordor loses. The beasts themselves are in the New Line films, so I don't see how it couldn't be justified that way. However, it was never an overtly competitive thing. I know people like to use them, but it does have really poorly written rules, like a lot of these ones. Counters to that, how on earth has this been taken out? But that horrendous dwarf chariot that's basically got a machine gun on it still remains in the game. I don't know. If you want to take out problem models, get rid of that. I'm not sure whether this is an A or a B, Ash, just because of how great the model is. On the one side, it's the old school resin, horrible for gates. Like, it took so long to clean the orcs up and stuff. Over to you, A or B? You decide, mate.
I think it's an S.
An F? What, down below D?
S. No, an S.
An S? You think it's terrible?
Yeah, I think this is. I hate playing against it, but I think it's a good model to have.
Okay, all right. Let it never be said that I don't listen to Ash. It's going in S tier. Absolutely controversial. I'm putting it at the bottom of S tier, though, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
To be honest, I think the problem is it doesn't work at low points, does it? So
no. So you don't see it as much. I mean, I do think there was a bit of a meta around it, but I also do think that this is the perfect model to play in a friendly game, like at home, having a laugh. Because with the difficulty with the rules, you can have the goodwill you need to play it and it not be a big problem. All right, let's move on. Blackguard of Barad-dûr. Irrelevant. It makes it much harder to use Mordor Uruk-hai. I think if Mordor Uruk-hai get better rules, people won't miss these in the list. These are basically strength 5 Uruks in heavy armor with shields. I think they're cool looking models, but they're also the failcast era. I do see why these are moving on. What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, D tier. King's Champion. How dare they? How dare they? I think King's Champion is possibly an S tier, because without a direct replacement into the dwarf list, this is a big problem for dwarf lists. Big problem with him gone.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay then. Yeah, we need to get going. So I'm going to put him just above the Great Beast of Gorgoroth.
Yeah.
Okay. So next up, Rohan Outriders. If you're trimming down lists, I think that's one that makes sense. You can definitely still use these as riders of Rohan.
Yeah, it's never really made sense for me having the Outriders.
D tier?
They just, D tier.
Yeah, makes sense. Again, maybe I shouldn't keep repeating myself. I'm sorry if these are your models. We're just ranking them.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, this is all disgusting that this has happened.
Yeah.
But we're ranking them in terms of ones that we think categorically should not have happened. All right, I'll maybe that'll be the last time I'll say that. Just assume I've said that every time we do this. Helmingas Command. So what's his name? The guy with the big axe. I forget. Can you have a look at Rohan for me?
Yeah, he's called Grimbold.
Grimbold, yeah, sorry. I have faced him. I've never owned him. I think these are cool models. I think this was a cool way that you could alter a Rohan force with just one model. I think it's a massive shame that this isn't going to have a Legendary Legion, because I do think when you can just drop one hero in and it's a different way to play that army, I think that's really good. And I think it's a big shame that it's leaving. It is an older model. So I don't know. Is it top of B tier or is it bottom of A tier, Ash?
I would say it's top of B.
Top of B. Okay.
Because I think people who play Rohan are going to get pacified by new models.
Mm-hmm.
And probably not be bothered anymore.
It's true. It is one of the most populous lists. But yeah, a real shame, because it's difficult to use this model as anything else as well. You can obviously still use the Hornblower and the Banner. But yeah, Grimbold's hard. Maybe you could use him as a two-handed captain, but unless the rules change a lot, you're not going to want to do that, are you?
No.
Castellans of Dol Guldur. I think these should have been retired a long time ago. No place in the lore. They're just fairly annoying to play against while not actually being that great. It doesn't make sense as to what they are. They're too much like ring wraiths without the utility of ring wraiths. This is another solid D for me.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and if you disagree with these, then let us know down below in the comments. But don't forget to like it and subscribe before you drop that comment.
Oh, you've stolen my line.
I will say thank you to everybody that has been subscribing over the last month. I have put out a small statement about that we haven't been releasing content. Basically, I've lost my job and I've been busy with that. I need to make sure that I can afford to power the PC rather than just record things on it. But I've forgotten my train of thought there. Ash. That was
The next one.
No, it was that. Thank you. Like I don't know what's been going on in the last month, but so many of you have started following the channel, commenting and liking over the last month when we haven't been putting out content. Just thank you for finding us and showing your appreciation. We do really appreciate it. It's part of why we wanted to find the time today to do this video. All right, let's crack on. Next one, men of arms at arms. These are the fiefdoms, guys, the pikemen.
Full arm off, yeah.
Yeah. I think old metal models for a more niche faction, you don't see these that often, but at the same time they are mentioned in the books, and they're going to have to look at how fiefdoms operate, because if you take these out, I don't really see how they can work as an independent faction. They're going to have to be part of a Gondor list again. So I'm inclined to say top of C tier, bottom of B tier.
Yeah, I think top of C.
Top of C.
So the weird guys with the really long pikes, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. I think they have been quite difficult to get hold of for quite a long time as well. So that's another justification to maybe not be in B. All right. Named ring wraiths. In terms of profile bloat, absolutely makes sense. I think it's a shame that some of the stuff they add is going away, but at the same time, let's be honest, there were only 3 of these that you ever used, and if you were making a competitive list, you only probably used 2 of them. I do like them. I've got a few of these. I think the fact that you can now just use them as generic ring wraiths and there's not going to be any qualms about them, you can still use those models. I am concerned about what it does to the Harad list once again. Another thing out, another option gone. I think B for these.
Yeah, I think so. I think let's cover all the ring wraiths in one go.
Yeah, we're doing them all in one go.
I think.
Bottom of B.
Yeah, bottom of B. For all 3 of those options.
I think there's a big caveat there of, all right, okay, you're taking these options away from Harad and whatnot. What are you going to do to replace it? It has to be replaced. If they don't replace some of those options, I would push this up to A, but we don't know what they're going to do at the moment.
Yeah, we don't know how much the ring wraiths are going to play a part in the new stuff.
Okay, now I'm going to be pushing hard. We're going to do a couple of Harad ones. Watchers of Karna. I think this is ridiculous to take this out.
I think, my theory, and I don't want to join the IP crowd, but it maybe doesn't fall into the IP of the new films, and that's maybe forced their hand, but maybe they're going to bring out new versions of Watchers of Karna with a different name.
No, they're with a different name. I would tie them and the Belly Boys. My favourites, what's called Merchant Guard, them and the Watchers of Karna. For me, I think bottom of A tier for both of them.
Yeah, I think so.
By taking those 2 things out, you have gutted the Harad list. Like, you've already taken out the Betrayer, so we can't now have a shooting list, and then you're taking out the 2 combat attack units that we have. Without telling us what you're going to do to fill that hole. Big problem for that list. Like, you may have well have just at this moment in time said no Harad, because that's basically what you've said to us. I mean, like Ash says, it may change, but I think it is a big problem for that army. Okay, so I've put them in there. Where next? Errol the Young. And I've also tied in Sons of Errol in this. Beautiful models, of an age, beautiful models. However, at this point, we're going to have 2 really filled out eras of Rohan. Can you afford a third?
This is the era just before, isn't it? Before
it's the founding of Rohan.
So I think this might be a top of B. Because
B, you're going B.
They do have a good game dynamic.
It does meet that criteria I said with Grimbold, that you are taking out one model that fundamentally changes how you play it. But I also
Rohan players shouldn't get greedy because you've got loads of new stuff coming. So
I think I want to push back on you on this one a little, Ash. I think it should be the top of C. Just because there's so much in Rohan, and the fact that there are no other named characters. Like it's basically you can have Errol, Sons of Errol, and captains. It wasn't done with full thought, I don't think. So I would say top of C.
When you think about it, you've got Theoden still, you've got Aemma, you've got Dernhelm, you've got Eowyn, you've got Daelwyn, you've got Gamlin, you've got Hammer. These guys are still I would have hoped that they would take Hammer on this list and get rid of him. Obviously, you've got the new Hammer, so how does that tie in? You've got all these new heroes that we know are coming. So yeah, I'm not too precious about losing some Rohan heroes because there's already a lot.
Okay, next up, Dunedain and Rangers of the North. I don't really understand. In terms of taking the models out, I totally understand. I don't really understand why the rules are going. I don't understand why the rules are going at all.
Well, no, Rangers of the North and Dunedain are miniatures that are going to be renamed and repackaged.
Oh, okay. What are they becoming, Ash?
I'm not sure what they're going to be renamed. It doesn't say, but I think they do play quite heavily in the new film.
Okay, so maybe they're taking the models out and they're keeping the names.
Yeah, so they're saying they're going to rename or repackage.
All right, we'll slap these in at D then. We don't know what's happening with them. Okay.
They're basically going to put it in a new box and charge us 10% on what they are now.
I mean, for me, we've got the Rangers models. I think they're perfectly serviceable. Or give us an updated Rangers models. I don't think we need all these different variants. If we're talking about reducing bloat in the game and allowing them to sell more models. Dwarf Shield Bearer. So I've got the picture for the command pack. We're over halfway through here, Ash, by the way. Dwarf Shield Bearer, I don't think he added a lot. I don't think he was a great model. I think if they've got to lose something, I would choose the Dwarf Shield Bearer.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting a D for this.
Yeah, I think so.
But I will say that I think if they were going to go around and trim all the factions, that they should have trimmed all the factions. How do the Hobbits... How have they only lost one model? It doesn't make any sense. How are we talking about losing all these orc characters and the Hobbits have like 15 different named characters and you never see them used? It's crazy to me. Sorry. That just came to the fourth thought of my brain and I can't believe that is actually happening. Come on, Ash, tell me you're outraged about that. Surely you are.
I mean, there's a lot of Hobbits.
We could
just losing one person.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair that they haven't lost anything. Okay, talking of losing something significant, Malhir and Vrasku. Malhir, I will say, I think is an absolutely hideous model. I hated making him. I hated painting him. The model is disgusting. What? Maybe a bit harsh.
I've got a 3D proxy for him, so
yeah, I don't. Well, what he adds to the lists he's in though, and the fact that he's in both he's not depicted quite as he's depicted here, but he's in the film, he's in the book. I don't know why he's gone. He features in 2 legendary legions that make it necessary to basically play those things. What are you replacing with him? And maybe this is just a Games Workshop communication issue, but I do not like these models moving out of the range. I think they're really cool. And I think they've got things that they add. Vrasku, I think, is less like, does Isengard really need a 3-might crossbowman
hero
who can fire twice? Not really. But Malhir, I don't think should be going. I'm going to suggest for them very top of B tier.
Yeah, I think so. I would argue maybe mid B tier.
Top. It's going top. It's done. It's done. All right, let's do one of the bigger discussion points. Khand. The whole of Khand. It's all gone. Super cool models. Very expensive if you wanted to run these, and most people run these as a pure list. The chariots, I don't like the chariot rules. I think it's just too much, too consistently. I will say that, but that could have been fixed. It could have been fixed. Yeah, I just think that I think all the chariots, they should seriously consider their rules in terms of the fact that, like, with a bit of luck, you can just plow over an entire army, and I think that is too much. With the multiple dice, it's too much odds. However, I think these are great. It is an aged army. It probably is taking up quite a bit of manufacturing space. I don't like the fact it's going, but if we're going to get new armies, I kind of understand it. Where do you think that falls, Ash?
Yeah, I think bottom of B.
I don't know. I am really upset the entire armies are going. I think that sucks. And also the fact that we're going to get onto Mahud, but the people who play Cant tend to play Mahud as well. And I think that sucks. But I don't know whether it should be as high as B. I think maybe it's either bottom of B or top of C, I think. What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, top of C.
I think if things have to go, I sort of get it, but I don't like it. And I don't like the fact I'm putting this in at C.
Sometimes things have to go for new things to come.
It is true. And it would, and then onto one of my fan ones, the Mahud. I can't, argue against them not being in the same place as Kant, really. They can't be higher. It's the same. Yeah. It's the same argument, so I'm putting them in there. I'm sorry, fans of Evil Men. I'm very sorry. I do still think that, why not keep these in the game? I think that it is nonsense, the whole Games Workshop. If we're not making the models, we're not updating them. Why did you bring these into rotation and then take them out? I think it's very unfair. We know why they did that, because they wanted to make some money out of models that hadn't existed for a while. And if you've ever worked in manufacturing, these things are planned a very long time ahead. And when they were choosing to bring these back into rotation, they probably had a mind that they were going to take them out again. Okay, Gildor. He's in the book. I think that establishes him as a straight B. Why is he coming out?
Yeah, I think so. If he's in the book.
He's going next to Aristor. I think he may even feature, be one of those characters that just features for a quick slide in the film as well. Spider Queen. Old model, but expensive model. It's not the best model. I've got this model. I've done my best to try and jazz it up, but it is very flat. However, she's mentioned in the book. She's referenced quite a bit in the book. I don't really know why this is coming out, and it completely takes away the ability to do those spider lists. I don't think it's as bad as some of the others, but I'm thinking bottom of A. I don't like that the Spider Queen's coming out. But I could see an argument for top of B as well.
Yeah, I think B.
B. Top of B?
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we have Kardouche, Fire Cooler. Love this model. Love his rules. If you're trimming things down, I've got this model. It's one of the first things I bought when I got back into the game in a made-to-order. I think it's a real shame he's going, but if you're trimming and bringing in new stuff, I do think he makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
D tier. Okay. Glothenball. Another one that is not the greatest model. He is definitely in the books. So that probably does entitle him to be in B tier. But considering he is all to do with the hobbits, why are you taking out one of the opponents of the hobbits, giving them a thing to fight in that era, and not taking out a single hobbit? I do think it's pretty egregious that he's going out and all the hobbits are staying. Bottom of B tier for me. I'm not a fan of the model, but he is in the book.
Yeah, it's an ugly model.
And I don't know why this is being chosen over hobbits, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, bottom of B.
Yep.
That is a very soft B, though, I will say. Okay. Thryden, the two-headed Axeman. Not the greatest model in the world. Leader of the Third Age Dunlendings. Named in the books. book character automatically. I think he is a book character. I might be wrong. Quick Google, Ash.
What does he come under?
Dunland. Oh, it'll be Isengard on the article.
God. Yeah, I'll Google that. Let's move on to an.
Okay, well, I am filling.
Oh, I can't find him on there.
You can't find him. All right.
Frieden.
Yeah.
There we go.
Is he in the books? I'm sorry, we don't have the budget of Joe Rogan. We need a researcher. All right, let's look at what we've got left. And we've got a few. I'm going to have to get Ash to check the names on. So we've got the Moria Black Shields. We've got the 2 Ranger heroes. We've got, is it Ashrak, who is the Goblin Shaman? I think it's Siron, one of the Gondor heroes.
Groblog.
Okay, all right. Can you not find Thryden? We'll move on if you can't.
Frieden, I can't find out whether he's in the books or not.
We'll assume he's not. I think it's less egregious than the other Dunland heroes, but I do think it's still pretty bad. Oh, I've sort of decided that I was going to have him as the whole of the Dunland faction, actually. So, how do we feel about Dunland being removed? I think it's out of order. They brought these models back relatively recently. They're really expensive to run. They've got a legendary legion, which will have given people a lot of reason to think that they could keep playing them. I will concede that they have definitely taken these out because of the films. But I don't think that makes it any fairer on people that have spent a lot of money to play this legendary legion that they recently released. They will have known. I've been looking online, and the ideas for this film have been knocking around since 2019. They would have known that they were working on this. I don't think they should have brought them back, and they definitely shouldn't have released more heroes for them if they knew it was on its way out. Out of all the armies that have been deleted, I think this is the worst one. I might even say bottom of A tier, but I'm happy with top of B tier. What do you think, Ash?
You're gonna get a lot of Dunland coming from the film.
But so what I'm saying is, I think it's unfair that they re-released it.
Yeah, but we don't know if they knew that this was going to be a decision when they re-released it.
Okay. Where do you think then? Come on, we can't have dead space. Start talking.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because we don't know what's coming. So, you put it where you think.
I think it needs to be. We've put the other deleted armies top of C. I'll put it bottom of B, so it's sort of on level with that. I just think with this one, they really actually did re-release it. They did a Legendary Legion. They brought out new heroes for it. People had confidence in this, and in about 3 years, it's not been like stemmed back. It's been deleted in its current form. All right, Moria Black Shields. I don't think this is a big issue. No. Use them as Moria Goblins. Yeah. They're lovely models. Yeah. D tier.
D tier, yeah.
I think that is probably like... I'm going to move Reavers to the absolute bottom because they didn't have a model. Morgul Stalkers. Quite similar to other things. I think they do add a bit more than, say, Orc Trackers, but they've not been available for a really long time, and they don't necessarily completely change the way you use them. I would say bottom of C tier.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, not many left. We have got 6 left. Captain of the White... Is it Champion or Captain of the White Tower? The two-handed guy for Gondor. I think it is a nice model. I think it has some nice rules. It is from an older era. Gondor's got a lot of models. If you are looking for trimming, I do think it's a target, but I do think it's got nice rules. So I would suggest bottom of C.
I think so, yeah, because Gondor as well, you've got other heroes you can use.
Yeah, they've got a lot of named heroes. Same for Siron. He is an older model, I think, that was sold alongside Beragon. I think I am right in saying that. I think he's exactly the same situation as Knight of the White Tower. If he needs trim profiles, he makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Then we have unarmored elves, the various elf heroes that are unarmored. I think it's a shame that these models aren't going to be available if you wanted to do narrative play at home. But you can still play all of these models in their armored form, so I don't think it's a big loss to the game. If something's got to go, take out an alt for a character rather than taking out another character. D tier.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, now I need your help with some of the names. Who are the 2 ranger captains? I forget.
In Gondor.
Yeah.
Unborn and Mablung.
That's them. So these are 2 Forge World ones. Which, why on earth they thought they needed to have, including Faramir, 5 named ranger heroes?
It was a lot.
I don't blooming know. No, I'm not going to say D tier, but they are Forge World models. It's out of order. I think bottom of A because they're Forge World. They shouldn't be getting rid of stuff that they've just brought in.
Okay.
Okay, I feel like I've bullied my way through that. Oh, if you just hover above, you get another bracket. I didn't need to create another row. Okay, we'll learn for next time. All right. Then is it Ashrak? It's just 2 Moria ones left. Ashrak, who is for Moria.
Yeah, Ashrak and Growblog.
So Growblog, I've never really seen him used. He is Games Workshop creation, quite a different mini. But I do sort of see why he could be trimmed. But he could have easily been kept and been given better rules. I think middle of C tier.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, slap in the middle of C. Ashrak, old model, but he is used a lot for Assault on Lothlorien. He's been removed as part of that. That Legion has obviously been nuked. A lot of people bought models specifically to use it. I'm not happy about it. Either top of B or bottom of A, Ash. What do you think?
Top of B, I think.
Top of B. So I think that makes sense. Yeah, he's in there with Spider Queen. So there you have it, everybody. Let's just move up these so that you can see it properly, hopefully. All right, you can't see the bottom of D, but if you don't see it, I'll scroll down a little. There you go. That is our full rankings of the egregiousness of the purging of Middle-earth. As you can see, I think, like, if people even vaguely agree with us, I think it's the fact that you're seeing far too many models in B tier and above. These ones down the bottom, it kind of makes sense why, if you were trimming the range, you need to trim something. As you get further and further near the top, it's like, okay, what are you replacing these with? And why have these been taken out in place of other models which, like, really don't serve a purpose? I think these S and A tiers really hurt. They have, like, fundamentally crippled some armies and made other ways to play them impossible. And I think that's a massive shame. I mean, for me personally, like Ash has alluded to, being quite heavily affected by this. I did the maths. I've gone from 4 fully functioning armies, which could be allied, cross-allied, easily into 7, and 3 fully functioning legendary legions. To I have no working legendary legions, and I have 2 functioning armies which could ally with each other, so 3. So I've gone from 10 ways to play to 4 ways to play, and I don't think I'm probably even a person that has come out the worst in this. I think this is a really, really gutting way to start a new edition, and that's my summary. I'm sorry this has happened to you. It's a real shame. What do you think, Ash, before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I think it's terrible that they've done this, but there'll be a business reason why they've done it. Obviously, we're not going to hate on the people within Games Workshop, and I know people are going to be very upset, and it's a tough time, but we're going to get new stuff to get excited about, and we're just not used to it in Middle-earth, so that's probably why it's hit so hard. But you never know. We might be on this 4-year release cycle, so it might start happening a bit more often.
I think we probably are.
Need to start getting used to it.
I mean, the thing is like people say, I do think it's too extreme to say the game is dead. The game isn't dead. This is 16% of the models. Somebody did the maths I saw. Over 80 profiles. Yeah. But it's also not nothing. And when you are genuinely looking at all these models that are either key or recent releases, it's not good. And I think the people just saying, crack on, everything will be fine. I think you're as bad as the people saying that the sky is falling. This isn't a good thing.
You're allowed to be upset by this. And you've spent, like, we earn a lot of not earn a lot of money. We we put a lot of effort in to earn our money, and you want to keep hold of it and not waste it. And this is just a disregard for that by Games Workshop. But like I said at the start, they're in the business of making money. Not, we might think they're in the business of making models, but they're not. They're in the business of making money.
I mean,
that's just capitalism for us.
The thing is, I want to be excited by the new edition, and I hope that fire does get reignited. Like, I think they need to, like, as a PR thing, they need to come out with what's coming out fast. Get on it right now and mitigate this bad feeling. But, I think the thing for me and many others that have been heavily affected by this is if you paint to a good standard, or you're just a slow painter, it takes a real long time to get these armies ready. And it is really gutting to basically imagine that I'm starting again in the new edition. I keep saying I'll see how it settles in. Maybe I just absolutely love the stuff they're going to be releasing, and I get full swing into that. I can play these models at home. Yeah, it's difficult at Games Club or tournament, but I can play them at home. Let's wait and see what the positive news is, because it's hard to believe that it's just going to be another negative article. I'd like to think the next thing is going to be good.
Yeah, I think. Well, it's got to be good. They're not going to come back and say we're getting rid of the whole game. Hopefully,
one thing
you have all moaned too much.
One thing I have seen some people express concern about is the idea that when some of the made to orders are finalised, that they might add more to this list. On that one, I honestly don't know. We can only speculate. But they didn't say there will be no more. So, take it as I don't know. And don't let anyone else out there tell you that they do know, because they don't. But yeah, I think that's...
The next bad news is going to be this is going to be more of a kill team style game.
Shut up. Don't listen to Ash. He just has enjoyed trolling people the last few days. But there you have it, everybody. Hopefully this is a bit of lightheartedness and putting things in perspective for everybody. We're as gutted as you, trust us. But I do think we need to keep it in perspective. Like, one of my entire armies has been taken out here, but I do understand it is gutting. Let's have a Mahood meet up. We can still play with these camel boys. I'm going to miss them. I played them a lot.
I'm not going to miss them.
They were great fun. But yeah, let's hope the next video is more positive. But yeah, that's this has been the Middle Earth in Mercia podcast, and I think that's about all we have time for today. Ash, say the lines.
Make sure you like and subscribe on every platform.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, everyone. I don't know when we're next coming back. Like I say, we've got a bit of a challenge trying to find new work and stuff. But we'll see when we next find the time. But thanks for listening. We appreciate the continued support. Hopefully this has been what we offer as ever, is, unabashed, unapologetic, truthfulness and conversation. We're not overly positive, and I hope to think we're not overly negative as well. This is the place for it. Make sure you do like and subscribe, and we'll be here next time. That's all from me.
That's all from me.
All right. Cheers. Bye, guys.